Hey everyone, welcome to the Cook Nook. This is Angel Girl, and today we're doing a review. I'm being accompanied by...
Hey guys, I'm a Night Owl, aka Donnie Shellshock.
Today we are doing a review on somewhat of an out-of-town type of restaurant. It's called the Molcajete, and it's a volcanic rock where we can do like we do salsas, and you know, we make different mixtures with it.
And it's shaped sort of like a little bowl with legs.
Yeah.
I mean, some of you have seen it. You usually see it in like Mexican cuisines and stuff like that. It's something where you can grind food and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you can like prepare your chiles, your tomatoes, your onions and stuff like that, and you grind them down to where it's like a nice thick little salsa. So we had heard about the restaurant before, and we wanted to try out. We were in the city for an event. And we're like, you know what, we were done with the event. We wanted to go eat some lunch. And we figured, you know what, let's stop and have some Mexican dish this time around. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so today, for that, we had, as an appetizer, we had the chori nachos, which is basically chorizo with chips and cheese all over. Oh, and beans.
And refried beans, which was really, really good. Yeah.
It was really, really good. The chips were really, crispy. The chorizo was very flavorful.
And not oily, too.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when they make that chori queso one, it's super oily, and it's because of the chorizo itself, you know, the fat and everything that comes out, the oils. But this time around, it was nice and flavorful without the oil part, which is really nice.
Yeah, and they also made sure that, you know, almost every single chip that you grabbed had a little bit of chorizo in it. So that was really, really good. We really appreciated it.
We like the toppings too, because they had somewhat of a kind of like a pico de gallo on top with avocado, and they put the jalapenos on the side, which is a nice thing to do because not everybody likes their jalapenos on their nachos kind of thing. So I like that idea of, you know, having it on the side. You can add them as you go. I eat them like they're chips anyway, so, you know, but they were still really good. And I like the portion of it because the plate was pretty big.
Yes.
And what's it called? Not only was it really big, but the cheese.
It was stringy.
Oh my God, yes.
It was so cheesy. I'll put a picture here also.
It felt like we were like on a tightrope kind of thing, you know, because we were pulling the cheese, and the cheese just kept going on for days. We ended up having like tie our chips to the cheese to the chip, but it was really a very, very good dish for an appetizer. That was a nice appetizer.
Yeah. And that was actually our very first dish that we ordered pretty much as soon as we walked in. And while we were still looking for, you know, entrees and stuff like that.
Because their menu was pretty big.
Yes.
But I think because they also had their lunch and their breakfast in that same menu.
And dinner.
Yeah. So most of the time, like when you go to restaurants, they have just like a breakfast menu. And then sometimes they'll have lunch with that same menu. But when the dinner, you know, late lunch dinner rush comes in, they usually switch the menus out, you know what I mean? But this time around, they had the whole thing in a book, which it got kind of confusing for a little bit because you had to like flip the pages to
it was kind of hard to like, well, should I get breakfast or should I get lunch?
And we actually asked, right, if they were still serving breakfast. Because we had sort of a fast food restaurant breakfast, but it doesn't always hit the spot. Sometimes it's so generic in a way that, you know, having a home cooked meal in a restaurant, especially a restaurant that's that small, is still sort of like a mom and pop restaurant. Yeah. I think they take more care of the quality versus the quantity kind of thing, you know what I mean? And I think that's why we were asking to see if they were still serving breakfast. But I liked what we ordered. I think what we ordered was a really nice, very nice dishes for that lunch. So yeah.
And then for our entrees, we decided to order right after we got our entree, because actually they didn't really take all that long. As soon as we ordered our appetizer, like, oh, it'll probably take about 10 to 15 minutes, you know, to get here. No, they actually got here, like they got to our table pretty much like right away. They didn't really take not even like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because we were still enjoying our nachos, and they came in with our entrees, and I was like, whoa. Yeah. And the entrees were really good. You had the, what was it called?
Entomatadas.
The entomatadas, that's right.
Yeah, which was basically a tortilla wrapped in chicken and cheese on top. So it was more like enchiladas.
Yeah, I like that tomato sauce they put on top of it. I mean, the sides were kind of very generic. Almost every Mexican restaurant has it. It was just rice and beans. But the actual entomatadas that you had was really good. The corn tortillas were nice and soft. The cheese was very flavorful too, and the sauce was a nice addition to it. So yeah,
I was kind of like, well, should I order entomatadas or should I order like mole enchiladas or like the suizas, the green salsas, which I think that's what they're called, suizas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I wanted to get something that you don't normally like find at like just any Mexican restaurant. And the entomatadas is usually one of the ones that I don't normally find just anywhere. So I wanted to try them out. And so yeah, it did come with rice and beans on the side. The rice, it was nicely made. It had some, like, what was it like?
It had carrots and peas in it.
Yeah.
Which is something that we like. At least we're not that used to it. Some Mexican restaurants in our hometown doesn't really make it with the peas and carrots, but there are some that it's sort of not a Mexican rice. It's sort of a combination of like different cultures, I think. My son loved it. Like our son loved it. He likes anything. Rice, he likes it. Whether it has peas or carrots, tomatoes, onions, it don't matter. He's gonna eat it. He likes rice. So I mean, he likes pretty much everything. And I think for him, we got
some enchiladas.
But it was the green enchiladas.
Yeah, those were the green.
I think they're called suizas, right? The
yeah.
Yeah, so that one I think came with
a little bit of rice. Yeah, a little bit of rice and refried beans with a chip on top.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, he didn't even want to wait. He started digging into the rice and just shoving it right in his face.
Yeah.
He loved it. He loved the rice. The beans, he was a little iffy because they're a little sticky and he doesn't really like stuff on his hands. But the enchiladas, he loved them. He tore them apart, took the chicken, and he'll grab the tortilla itself and eat the tortilla. He's at this point where we don't really have to feed him as much. Like he can feed himself, but he doesn't like to use the utensil. Yeah. Except he likes to play with them. But then he puts it down and he grabs the food with his hand. I don't know. But he loved it. And I mean, we tasted them. The sauce, the green sauce was really nice. It was nice and tangy. It was not acidic as most green salsas are.
It was very, it wasn't salty or anything either. It had a really nice flavor. They weren't spicy at all for sure. But yeah, these are basically from the kids menu. Yeah. So yeah, they were very...
And they had pretty good option on the kids menu, believe it or not. They had several types of dishes you could order. And then on the sides, you could order the refried beans or the rice. Or you can go with fries, which is, you know, sometimes he does like the fries, but sometimes we want to give him, if you're eating a Mexican dish, you want to give him the rice and beans too, so.
Yeah.
And then I went with the chicken fried steak with mashed potatoes, and then it came with a side of a sort of like a side salad, which I didn't really touch as much because I mean it's not something
kind of weird.
Yes, it's not something you find with chicken fried steak. It's either veggies and you know a potato. You know what I mean, or mashed potatoes. The chicken fried steak was really good. The gravy on top. It did need a little bit of a seasoning to it, a little bit of salt, probably a little bit more pepper. I think for my taste. But definitely I needed a little bit of salt into it. But the breading was nice. The actual meat itself was really good. The tomato, the potatoes, the mashed potatoes, well, it was a little bit dry. But I think once I mixed in a little bit of the gravy onto it, it sort of got a little bit of, became a little bit more creamier. And at that point, it was a nice little thing. Yeah. My son loved the potatoes anyway. So he was kind of like trying to eye mine and trying to pick at it. I'm like, eat your food. But
yeah. And then the drinks, they didn't really have a whole lot of like different.
They had very generic drinks for like the I guess you could call it just the regular fountain drinks. They did have some. It's called jarritos.
Oh yeah.
They're like these glass Mexican sodas, which was really good, and those are really good, especially when they're really ice cold. They're really good. Yeah. And then we actually ordered the shrimp cocktails.
Oh, yes.
This summer, which were made very different than what we're used to. Usually we just get ours with cilantro on top and avocado.
Right.
Right, and then just the regular cocktail sauce with the shrimp.
Yeah.
But this time around,
we had an orange slice, cucumber, celery, and I questioned life.
Yeah, it looked more like a, what's it called? Like a michelada, or, you know what I mean? One of those like tomato sauce drinks with beer in it.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like, and I'm like, is this ours still?
Yeah, aesthetically, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, aesthetically it was really nice.
Aesthetically, it was awesome. It was on point, like, dude, for sure. But however, when you're like trying to eat it, you're confused on what it is, how you're gonna eat it.
It's a cocktail, a shrimp cocktail that I will not recommend for kids. Because it did have some jalapeno in it.
Oh, yes.
And it did make it a little bit, at first it was not, it was not dominant. But after you kept eating and eating, you could start feeling the spiciness in it. And the chunks weren't that big to begin with, but they did have some chunks in it. A couple pieces in there that were, fresh jalapeno at best.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we gave Mikey any.
No, we didn't give any this time.
Yeah.
No, he was filled with the.
Yeah, he was done
with his dish.
We had to end up having to take some of his and my food.
Yeah, he ate about an enchilada and a half, and then plus the nachos he ate with us, and then he ate a lot of my my tomato. Yeah, my mashed potatoes.
Which, by the way, your potatoes weren't potatoey.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because the texture of it felt more like a baked potato, not mashed potato. Which is, you could tell it was from a potato, and you could tell it's not from a packet that you just add water.
Yeah, it looked like it was missing maybe some butter, or I don't know, like
I think butter itself with salt and pepper would have been good.
Yeah,
I think
but it wasn't a creamy potato.
Yeah, it was very flaky.
Yeah, it
looked more like it was a baked potato when you take the inside out and then you put it on the plate. That's what I felt like it was. But after all, like I said, once I mixed in the gravy to it and I ate it with the chicken fried steak, the potatoes didn't really matter anymore. They added a nice flavor to it all together. Yeah, but when you separate each dish by itself, you gotta be able to be flavorful on your own. When you're combined with something else, you make the dish even more flavorful. You know what I mean? This time around, the chicken fried steak was flavorful. The gravy was somewhat flavor, had a little bit of flavor, and then the potatoes that had no flavor at all. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to, if you're going to make 3 different things on one dish, each dish either complements each other or enhances one another. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the only thing I felt like the potatoes were more like a baked potato texture than a mashed potatoes. You know what I mean? But most potatoes, you want it to be, especially if you're going to add some gravy on it, you want it to be nice and creamy. Yes. You don't want it to be too dry. I think that's what we felt, that it was a little too dry. Again, if we would have added some butter, salt, and pepper onto it, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, for this time, we didn't get any dessert or anything. I think by that time we were like,
we were really full. Like, as soon as I was done with my chicken fried steak, I was like, whew, I was done.
Yeah.
I think between me and my son, we finished the mashed potatoes, and I ate a little bit of the salad they put on the side, but it wasn't like I ate it, the whole thing. So I know we took home the other portion of my son's enchiladas, and then we took half of your stuff home as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But overall, I mean, the staff was courteous.
Yes.
I like that since we live in a border town, speaking both Spanish and English is a good thing. And in this restaurant, that's exactly what they had. My wife was speaking English, I was speaking Spanish. And we wanted to see if not only the wait staff, but the people that were bringing out the food would understand both of us. And they did an amazing job, because when my wife was ordering something in English, they responded to her in English. When I ordered something in Spanish, they responded to me in Spanish. So it was nice to see that being able to speak both languages, you know what I mean, that being bilingual works in a Mexican restaurant. Yeah. Because that way you can cater to both, the English-speaking community and the Spanish-speaking community. So.
What did you think about their decor?
I liked the decor, believe it or not. They had some really nice hand-painted murals on the walls. They had, and it was a lot of Mexican-inspired artwork. And I did like that they had somewhat of an indigenous feel to it.
Yeah.
Because some of the ladies that were there were grinding, the corn by hand. And it's something, a tradition that, as Native Americans have, and especially Mexican indigenous people, is something that they did to make their corn flour. It was something that was available abundantly here in this region. So it was nice to see that on the walls itself. And I know that they were decorating they had like a sort of like some speakers set up with like a microphone. So I'm assuming they have like karaoke and in the evenings.
Yeah.
We didn't stay for the afternoon, right? But it was a nice addition to see, because some Mexican restaurants have that, where you have a person playing the piano or someone playing the guitar.
Yeah.
You can give them tips and stuff like that. It's a nice addition to a Mexican restaurant, because it makes you feel like you are in Mexico, you know what I mean? And those days of outdoor seating, you know what I mean? You had the musicians playing, the mariachi groups walking around, serenading and stuff like that. So I thought it was a good idea to have, speakers and a microphone, and they started to do like that karaoke night, especially because now they were celebrating like Valentine's Day, but it's something they could continually do. And I don't think it overdrowns, the ambience or the environment there. So, but overall, I like the decor. I like that they even had that little towards the entrance. They had like the Mexican candy. It was kind of like a little shop, which I thought was pretty sweet and
cute.
pretty nice. Yeah, it was a nice little. They had like little carritos. They're made out of tamarindo and
the
like,
caramel little.
The caramel cookie things. It was like a nice little trip, because it reminded me of the times where we would go to Mexico to visit my aunts and uncles out there, and it was a nice little addition to it. I liked it. It was nice.
Yeah, they had TVs also on the walls.
Yeah.
They had like an ongoing like TV shows and TV games, like the game.
Football games and so.
Yeah, it was stuff like that, and it just kind of like kept you somewhat busy and like not just focused on your food. So.
And while we were there, we saw the customers that came in were from different cultures, right? From different. Like it was a nice to see that different people like Mexican food. It doesn't matter where you're from or how you grew up. Mexican food it's really good food. So it was nice to see different people coming together in that little restaurant.
Yeah, different cultures, not just Mexican people, but it was a lot of different individuals. And
I think it speaks a lot to that region too of Del Rio. They have so many subcultures there and so many different groups of people that live there. And I think that's what makes it a nice, vibrant city to visit. It's something that we've been trying to go to a lot for the markets and stuff like that. Because again, as an artist, I go to a lot of markets, and as yourself as well as a crafter, we tend to go to a lot of markets out of town, and we tend to. That's I think one of the reasons we started doing reviews is that after the markets, we're tired. We don't want to go home and cook. We never want to do that. We're exhausted of being all day with customers and running around doing this and doing that. That by the time we get home, we're just exhausted. We just want to get something to eat, chill, and then, take off on the road again.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons we started doing the reviews, is that we wanted to see what these restaurants offered, something where we can chill, relax, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and even within our travels, we witnessed a lot of good restaurants. We witnessed a lot of, bad restaurants. And so we're like, well, why don't we just, do a review and just see where, so people know, like, hey, this area has really good food, or don't even go there, stuff like that. So,
Go there on your own risk.
Yeah.
No, but this restaurant in Molcajete it's a definitely go back to try out some of their other menus, either for breakfast or even for dinner, to see what they had. Because we went sort of like at lunchtime.
Yeah.
So what we had was more like a lunch meal.
Yeah.
But I would like to go try their breakfast or their dinner, see what happens.
I think we got there like around 11:30 in the morning, and so that's why I was like, should I get breakfast or should I get lunch? So yeah, the waitress did confirm that they still had breakfast, but I was like, let me go through the menu and then I'll get back to you. But yeah, I think we did like a really good like job in like having our dishes because they were all very good.
It is sort of not hard to find, but it is sort of behind.
Yeah.
You have to drive into somewhat of a sub neighborhood, and you know it's sort of in a turn.
You turn in.
Yeah. So the parking itself outside, it had a decent parking.
Yeah, it was kind of small though.
I mean, that's what I mean. It had decent parking compared to. It's not a big restaurant, so you don't expect to have it a lot of parking.
Yeah.
But for a small little restaurant like that, it had a nice parking. It was nice and clean. I wouldn't complain about the cleanliness of the restaurant itself. I did like the tables that they had, though. It did feel like a Mexican restaurant. Like
their dishes also were all black. You don't usually expect black dishes. But yeah, that was kind of nice to see.
I think because they're trying to keep with that molcajete. Because the molcajete, since being that volcanic rock, is black in nature. You know what I mean? And it has like a little bit of gray tones to it. So I think every dish that they brought out being in that color and the same color scheme.
It would bring up more of the colors.
Yes. Especially because their tables were like red, green, white, you know, stuff like that. And then having these black dishes on top, it just makes the color pop. So it was a really nice place to go. But definitely on our next trip to the Rio, we'll probably stop by, get some more food there. So but yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time on another review or another recipe. Bye.